www.Enochian.org. Back again, and I'm going to give some ideas on making talismans. One of my favorite grimoires is the Black Pullet. And how they tell you to make your talismans, well, you make the rings out of bronze, out of steel, and then you bronze over the steel. But the most important part is the silk talismans, where you take satin silk, in other words, the shiny silk, nice, thick, decent stuff, not the cheap, thin silk, and you hand embroider it. What you do is you get silk embroidery thread, real silk, careful about the fake silk, and you hand embroider these. And I have found that the process of hand embroidering those Black Pullet talismans is one of the strongest magical experiences I have had. I won't go into too much detail, you have to do it on your own to find out. Highly, highly recommended. Not that you can't just buy Pullet talismans embroidered, but those are not silk, they're not silk thread, and they're not on silk. They're just embroidered by machine, mass-produced kind of thing. That's so not the same. It does not bring up the right kind of energies. And other ways you can make talismans, here I am back with the plants. Draw them on leaves. Fresh leaves or dried leaves, but fresh is better. Magical ink. Draw them on here. There are, you can get a fountain pen, fill it full of magical ink, and draw on the leaves. Careful where you buy the magical ink. Of course, Enochian.org is a good source, but there's other good sources. Just don't get it from your random New Agey shop, because those are usually just food coloring and just ink that you can go and buy at the art store. So you can save money and just go to the art store, and it's the same thing without the fancy label, right? So you draw them on leaves, draw them on parchment, real parchment. There's this stuff, there's so many occult stores. Oh, I don't know how people fall for this. They sell something called Parchment. And what it is it's just paper. But it's kind of like a parchment color. And people, now, if you don't want to see any animals harmed ever, now that's fully cool. But no, these people are trying to pass it off as actual real animal parchment and charging the kind of money that you would charge for real animal parchment. So basically, if you could tear it in half, that's not parchment. Parchment does not tear. This is actual animal skin. But parchment is extremely good for talismans, if you're okay with that. Paper. Virgin paper, virgin parchment, it just means has not been used before. Because in the old days, parchment isn't cheap, right? So they would use it, and then they would scrape it off and reuse it. You know, take notes and then scrape it off. They didn't have paper. They didn't have like this huge ream of computer paper they could just grab another piece of. No. So they'd have to scrape it off, so that's why they specified virgin. You can also draw on pieces of leather, pieces of canvas, pieces of silk. You can draw on them. You can engrave into metal, it's one of my favorites, or just draw into the metal. Or what I did at first, before I learned to engrave, I'd just get a nail and I would just etch into the metal. And that worked. Why not? Why wouldn't it work? It doesn't look as fancy or as awesome, but it works. So, just a nail. Everybody has a nail. And scrap metal, just go to your scrapyard if you have to. Or just go to your hardware store and get some metal. It's better if you get pure metal, though, like copper. Enochian.org has copper discs, but you know, you can just get some scrap copper or just go to your hardware store. Well, most hardware stores don't have copper these days, but they do have steel usually. Sometimes they'll have zinc, but check. It's they usually have brass actually, so you can make brass talismans, but you can at least get started, try different types of metal. I recommend using some scrap metal first before using up your good stuff. You know, you can go and buy a fancy disc. First try, your nail or your Dremel slips, and there it goes. But no, so you want to practice up a bit, get good at it. As one magician, he said, you know, just practice on old tuna can lids. That's actually a good idea. It's metal, good practice thing. Though, careful what you put on there. You might not want to do spirit seals and piss off a certain spirit by practicing their seal on all your old tuna can lids. That might be a little, I don't know, desecrating or something, who knows. But it's good practice. Just practice lettering, practice straight lines, stuff like that. There are so many things you can draw talismans on, though. clothing, books. I guess you can go out and do it on your walls, unless you rent, then maybe not. On your car, this one person that I know, he used to hammer runes into his car for different magical purposes, and that's pretty awesome. Kept his car going for longer than it normally would have with a used car. So yeah, you can do them on many things. A rock. I love engraving into gemstones, but you can go to the beach or the river and get a rock, engrave into that. There's a lot of granite, which is amazing for healing. It's a good strong stone. There's a lot of granite down there, some jade, some agate, well, at least in our area. But yeah, you can use regular rocks. You don't need to go to the lapidary store and get the fancy kind, but you can, because that's a lot more fun. They have amazing thin rock slices. But you can just engrave on regular rocks. Especially if you like to make a lot of talismans, you might need a lot of rocks. So you can just go wandering down along the beach or the river and find different ones which just you're drawn to. And engrave your talismans on there, or paint them on, however. You can, of course, paint talismans onto novena candles, onto glass, onto marble tiles. So many things. I recommend working with a lot of talismans, not too many at once though, because then you have all these energies going different directions, all trying to do different things. Now, if they're all for the same purpose, sure, but quite often we'll make talismans doing different purposes, so you have them going all different ways, and all this energy conflicting with each other, and things getting convoluted. So you want to fine-tune your focus a bit. But making talismans for the same purpose, and then you retire them once the purpose has been met, or recharge them, or re-engrave them, or whichever, over top, when they've done their purpose, when you want them for something else. So do a bunch of talismans, but for the same purpose, or perhaps for some friends, just get some practice, get some talismans going. And just keep track of how many you have. Don't do a whole bunch and forget about them, because, you know, they might be drawing the energy from your place towards a certain goal, and you wonder what's going wrong, why things feel funky, when you've decided you don't want that goal anymore, and you've forgotten that you have 5 talismans sitting over there for that goal. No, don't get too out of hand there, though. The chaos magicians will love this whole idea of go get rocks, they'll just go make 100 talismans and call it good. And they manage, it's fine. So whatever works for you, just do a few talismans towards your certain purpose or goals. Just pick 4 or 5 goals and start making some talismans towards those, and get creative on the materials and your pencil, pen, paintbrush, or whatever you use, and enjoy. So like, comment, and share. www.Enochian.org.